Britain gained open purse and trade monopoly rights through the victory of the First Opium War, but did not make as much money as expected, and its exports were still dependent on opium. In addition, when Qing began secretly producing its own opium, Britain's trade deficit was about to be an issue again. On the British side, it was very frustrating. Britain was actually looking for an excuse and got one finally, and that was the Arrow incident. One day, the Qing naval forces cracked down on the British-owned ship Arrow. While Qing officials were investigating the ship, an incident occurred in which its honorable flag was damaged during the crackdown. Britain started the Second Opium War on the absurd excuse that its flag had been damaged. In 1857, Britain formed an allied force with France and invaded downtown Guangzhou. In December of that year, Guangzhou was occupied and fires were set throughout the city, killing civilians. Afterwards, the combined British-French forces moved north in 1858 and occupied Daegu Port. When Tianjin, the gateway to Beijing, was occupied, the Qing government could not hold out any longer and signed the Treaty of Tianjin. After the Allied forces were stationed near Beijing, they attacked Wanmyeongwon, the emperor's secondary palace. The Allied forces set fire to Wanmyeongwon after looting gold and silver handicrafts and ornaments. Eventually, the war was ended through negotiation between King Gongjin and the Anglo-French Allied forces, and the Treaty of Beijing was concluded under the mediation of the Russian Empire. With the Beijing Treaty, the Qing court recognized the Tianjin Treaty and the opium trade was legalized. In addition to this, the presence of foreign diplomatic ministers in Beijing, opening of 11 ports including Tianjin, inland travel, commerce, freedom of missionary work, and worship's right to enter were legalized. China provided 8 million pieces of silver in war reparation to Britain and France, and ceded Hong Kong's neighboring provinces of the Gurung Peninsula to Britain and suffered huge losses. Later, the maritime province was handed over to the Russian Empire, which had assisted in the signing of the Beijing Treaty. Their defeat in the Second Opium War had a far greater impact on the Han Chinese than their defeat in the First Opium War. The Qing emperor's escape from the occupation of Beijing was not just a defeat in war, but an event that shook the Sino-centralism that had been ingrained in the minds of the Han Chinese from their root. When Beijing was occupied, the Qing court at that time became impatient and ordered two generals, Zhang Gukban and Yi Hongjiang, who were confronting the Taiping Heavenly Army with a modern army, to send their troops back to Beijing, but the two generals disregarded the order. Chinese delusion was at the root of the Opium War that brought the collapse of the Qing dynasty, which was believed to be the center of the war. At that time, the Qing dynasty did not wake up from the Middle Ages to be aware of the rapidly changing world paradigms and only raised the pride in Chinese ideology, Sino-centralism. As the Qing dynasty was defeated in two opium wars, the Chinese ideology, Sino-centralism, was shaken to its foundation. After the war, the Qing dynasty, which had lived so prosperously, fell into internal and external trouble that did not stop, and the people suffered from starvation. After the Second Opium War, the Japanese Empire was working hard to advance into the Korean Peninsula and China, so East Asia was gradually entering a crisis phase.